25 years I've been a professional sports handicapper, and in that time, guys, I'm telling you, the #1 problem I've seen with the Super Bowl is that you gamblers out there, often you make it your biggest play of the year. Now, don't get me wrong, it's the biggest game of the year from the league standpoint, but really it's just another game to be wagered upon from our perspective. Really no different than any Mid-American Conference college football contest played on a Tuesday night in October. Problem is, a lot of gamblers look at the Super Bowl as that one last chance to bail out from a miserable season. One last opportunity to make big money at the season's end. You know, the Super Bowl is the single most overanalyzed game ever wagered upon. 2 weeks of worthless and endless media hype only contributes to the fact that there is rarely any value in the Super Bowl's actual line. Now, when I'm talking value, I'm talking about, on a busy Saturday or Sunday card, whether it's college football, NFL, or college basketball, that's where you're going to find the gems that stick out, not when you have a single game such as the Super Bowl. And this is a lot different than when you have an isolated Monday or Thursday night game in football, whether it's college or pro. Because remember, those games haven't been dissected from every single angle over a 2-week period. Hi everyone, DeMarco here, General Manager and Lead Analyst for the world's largest online sports handicapping community. And today I've got your free Super Bowl pick plus a ton of free proposition plays as well. Now, despite all I just said, remember, I didn't say you should not be playing the Super Bowl. In fact, New Orleans, Indianapolis is another 15-dime best bet winner for me. And those 15-dime releases, I'm 26-7-2 over the past 2 seasons in the NFL with those plays, including 8-1-1 the last 10 Sundays of action. And considering I'm 12-3-2 with my last 17 Super Bowl releases, winning 6 of the last 7 years, it's an extremely strong play. But again, it's far from my biggest game of the year. Even though it's a 15-dime release, it's no stronger than any of the other 8 15-dime winners I've given you over the previous 10 Sundays. Now, more about that in a moment. Let's get to a few Super Bowl trends because there really is no more interesting game to break down from a statistical standpoint than this particular contest. Colts, of course, 16-0 straight up, 12-4 against the spread in games that Peyton Manning started and went the distance this season. They also won 11-4 against the spread as a favorite in those contests. Indianapolis also 7-1 straight up in ATS on the road this year, winning those games by an average margin of 14 points a game, 31-17. Now, the Saints are no slouch outside of the Superdome, 7-1 straight up, but only break even versus the odds makers, splitting out their 8 games against the spread, winning those contests on average by 11 points a game, 32-21, your average final score. Now, the Saints, though, have done one thing exceptionally well, and that's battled the AFC over the past 2 years, going 8-0 against the odds makers, winning 7 of those 8 games straight up. In fact, this year alone, they went 4-0, both straight up in ATS versus the other conference, winning all 4 of those games by double digits. Now, as for the big game itself, think about it. More often than not, in the Super Bowl, you've had blowouts. 21 of the previous 43 Super Bowls have been decided by 14 points or more. 32 of those games have been decided by at least a touchdown. Now, only 8 times in Super Bowl history has the straight-up winner failed to cover the point spread. And straight-up winners are 9-1 against the spread in the postseason. The lone loser, New Orleans, failing to cover in that overtime win against Green Bay in the NFC Championship game 2 Sundays ago. Now, in regular season and playoffs combined, straight-up winners, as I've updated you all season long, are an incredible 208, 53-5 versus the odds makers. That's a spread covering clip of 79.7%. So if you could pick the straight up winner this year, regular season and postseason, you've won nearly 80% of your plays. And if you throw in the preseason as well, that percentage jumps up to 84%. Of course, if only it was that easy, right? By the way, favorites of 3.5 to 6 points in the Super Bowl are 7-4 against the spread in the title game. But as you know, the underdog, after Arizona covered last year against Pittsburgh, has covered 6 of the last 8 title games. A lot of people in these last couple of weeks have made mention about Indianapolis' experience. And true, Colts have 25 players on their roster that were on the roster when they beat Chicago in Super Bowl 41 3 years ago. But since 1994, teams returning to the Super Bowl within 3 seasons of their previous appearance, just 1-7 versus the odds makers. Now, on the other hand, teams making their Super Bowl debut against an experienced title foe Well, they're 6-11 against the spread lifetime, and that's despite Arizona's cover last year against the Steelers. Like I always say, guys, you find one trend to support one side, and I guarantee you I'm going to find at least two to back the other. That's why trends are so overvalued in handicapping circles. Now, as for my pick, as I noted earlier, it's my latest 15-dime best bet release in those plays, 26, 7, and 2 over the past 2 seasons in the pros, including 8-1-1 the last 10 Sundays of action, and I'm 12-3-2 with my last 17 Super Bowl releases, winning 6 of the past 7 years. That's available right now here online. For the free play, I'm going to go with the under, even though 7 of the 10 games so far in the postseason have gone over the posted price. Now, this total is floating right around 56, 57.5 points. That is the highest posted price ever for a Super Bowl total. Keep this in mind, though. 7 previous times you've had 50 or more points posted for the price for the total in the Super Bowl, only 3 overs. And 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls have stayed under the total as well. So my free pick, I'm going to go with the under. Now, we're going to take a quick, brief break here, and when we come back, going to delve into a ton of proposition plays. It's what you all love. A lot of guys like playing them. I'm going to give you my opinion on whether they're good or bad, and what are the smart money proposition plays as well.